Hi, it's Lev here with Find Your Way. In today's video, what we're going to talk about is a day-to-day method to deal with and heal trauma. And what that is it's called self-compassion. And I'm going to give you some tips about how to undertake self-compassion. Those of you who've been following me, you know my story. Had a severely traumatic childhood, abandonment issues because I grew up in a little commune village in Israel where they would take the kids away from their parents at a year old. And my earliest memory is running around in the middle of the night trying to get home, feeling completely abandoned, terrified that I was going to die. Those are my earliest memories, and obviously got deep into my subconscious. Also, my father had borderline personality disorder and was very, very emotionally abusive. A little bit physically abusive, but it was the emotional abuse that was challenging for many years. So because of that, I had complex PTSD symptoms, including generalized anxiety. So over the last 9 years, I've figured out ways to heal and release and deal with trauma. And that's what these videos are about, to help you deal with your trauma and heal it and move forward with your life. So let's get into today's topic. That is self-compassion. So what is self-compassion? Self-compassion is several things. It's first basically being your own best friend, champion, and supporter, being on your own side. So what does being on your own side mean? That means being kind and compassionate to yourself. So if you feel bad, if you have your trauma triggered somehow, typically, especially if it's childhood trauma, that's your inner child crying out for love and for support and for affection. And so the absolute worst thing you can do is abandon yourself, abandon your inner child by trying to avoid facing the issue, by trying to numb it with drugs or alcohol or sex or gambling or whatever it might be, or simply getting mad at yourself for feeling that way. So the first one just numbs the issue, doesn't resolve it, and again, you're abandoning yourself. And the second one is not just abandoning yourself, it's self-attack. Because you already don't feel good. Don't make yourself feel worse by beating yourself up internally. And look, when you abandon yourself, ironically, the feeling, it doesn't contract, it expands. So the way to handle this is not to avoid, it's through. So when you're not feeling well, if you're triggered somehow, just speak to yourself nicely. Say things that you would say to a best friend, a close family member, or a lover. Say things to yourself like, it's going to be okay. I'm here with you. Even visualize giving your inner child a hug. If you were traumatized as an adult, imagine giving your adult self a hug. Your adult self deserves just as much compassion and love as your child self. So the key is to say things, like I said, that a parent would say to a child, a healthy parent or a good friend. And so that's how you're self-compassionate. Say kind things to yourself. Visualize consoling yourself, hugging yourself. And so if you imagine a crying little child, imagine your adult self hugging your child self, and speak kindly to yourself. Tell yourself, like, look, this is challenging. I know it's hard. It's not your fault, but I'm here with you. I'll never abandon you. I'll never leave you. So that's how you have to be self-compassionate. Now, It's going to take some practice. You can't just snap your fingers and automatically do all these things. But from now on, what I want you to do is, if you do get triggered or if you do feel bad emotionally, all you have to do is just immediately realize that this is an opportunity to provide some self-love, some self-compassion, and practice talking to yourself, again, like I said, as you would to a child, as you would to a close friend, a close relative, or a lover. Talk to yourself that way. The most important relationship you have in life is not a relationship with anybody else. It's the relationship with yourself. So you must be kind to yourself. You must be loving to yourself. And it takes practice and it takes some time, but you'll see as you do that, it'll actually lessen the emotional pain that you feel from your past trauma. So please give it a shot. Love you all. Till next time.